The simple explanation for why all religions have an unrealistic, make an unrealistic assumption is their connection to mythology. Now, mythology and human imagination are closely related. Their place is in the realm of art, the artistic, and the scientific realm deals with reality, not what we imagine so much as what we can show and prove and discover in our research, in our desire to know more about natural processes, the various forms of matter and energy, because living on this planet Earth for the number of years that we have, our scientific capacity has only developed very recently. And once we start to accept the fact that our intelligence also has evolved, then we can start talking intelligently and put mythology and religion behind us. Because to ask the question of what happened before the Big Bang is easily explained with an analogy. You may say you were born on the 1st of January 1950, and so therefore you would be about 58 years old. And having lived 58 years, the chances you having met a god or a devil or an angel are probably very slim. But apart from that, we do know where we came from. Because in science, you deal with issues based on causality. What is causality? We don't deal with miracles, we deal with certainty. Either we can deduct very clearly where we came from, and all living humans were created, well, most of us anyways, through sexual intercourse between our parents. Now, so it happens that some new humans, recently created, came out of a test tube. But of course, you still need a female egg, and you need male spermatozoa to fertilize the egg. But as you can have cases where you have twins or triplings, a number of results can arise from that. Now, what would happen then if one of those artificially inseminated children was raised, and they usually take this fertilized egg and put it back into a carrier, or the sperm comes from a donor, and then some woman is being asked to carry this pregnancy to terms. So this is all very artificial. But the point is simply this: if this person gets then born, and then 50 years later you could say, okay, you were born on that day. Where did you come from? would this person then maybe read up on how that person was created and say, yes, I came out of a test tube? Well, if you say it today, it probably sounds more like a joke. Now, how do we know that we have parents? Well, if we are lucky enough, and we still have them, we can talk to them. We can ask them, where did you guys meet? When did you fall in love? Or when did you get married? Or blah, 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 blah. And you can actually construct a family tree. And you can go back maybe on your father's side till whatever, 1675, like I can. Not so much on my mother's side, because it's more difficult. But the point is, it's all relative. Relative to what? Human society evolved, as we know, because there were times when humans used to live in caves. And they decorated the walls with cave paintings. In order to cook their meals, they discovered fire. And they discovered how to make fire. And because fire was so precious, they worshipped it. They thought it was a god. Just like they thought the sun was a god, or the moon was a god, or the Greeks had many gods. Hindus still have many gods. So therefore, we know that religious beliefs are part of our tradition. We do have a tradition, but we should recognize that this is mythology. And mythology, again, it's part of our cultural identity. But in order to understand things, that those are just stories out of some storybooks, because there are no holy books. Holy books don't exist because all books have been written by man. The word divinity is simply a theological term which there's nothing divine. Divine, a glass of wine can be divine. A special experience in your life can be divine. But there's nothing supernatural that could be divine. Now, you can go and read a divine book, and it can stimulate your imagination, and you can go and take a nap. And in your dreams, you may come up with things that either scare you, or entertain you, or excite you. And when you wake up, you make notes of it and say, oh, gee, this was an interesting dream. And you can write a book about it. You can make a play. Or whatever. You can then take a paintbrush and create images on canvas. But and then it becomes real. Of course, it's real then, but you have to interpret that. And the funny thing is, quite often, artists create art, but they not always have the verbal ability or the psychological insight into what it is they have really expressed with their creations. And so therefore you resort to art critics. And they come around, and some artists really laugh at them because they say, who the heck are they to now tell me what went on in my mind, or what went on in me emotionally to have created this kind of thing. Now, what is the big analogy to the Big Bang that this one guy who thinks that atheism is irrational? It's so very simple. If we had a grasp of